In today's world, once remote regions are no longer necessarily isolated. As these places emerge, they require energy to modernize. With its vast distances, formidable winters, and aging infrastructure, Mongolia faces significant challenges as it addresses its energy needs.
Mongolia energy project is really focused on loss reduction and revenue collection and improving reliability of power supply in energy sector.
To achieve modernization requires that heating, electrical generation, transmission, cost, efficiency, fairness, service, environmental impact, sustainability, and strategic security are all addressed. Against this backdrop, Mongolia's energy sector is reforming and meeting with some success.
It was this combination of best practices on energy efficiency and on distribution practices around the world that the Mongolians were able to take and adapt to their own circumstances.
The Mongolian people, powerful neighbors, and a resource-hungry global economy are all interested in the next step in Mongolia's energy future. Mongolia is both a vast land and one of the least populated countries in the world. Its landscapes are varied, with pristine grasslands, deserts, mountains, and forests. For many centuries, Mongol warriors possessed dominant military tactics that made them the feared rulers of the largest contiguous empire the world has ever known. But Mongolia's fabled past is now centuries gone. In 1921, Mongolia fought a revolution to separate itself from China, declaring itself independent and the second communist country after Soviet Russia. From its revolution until 1990, Mongolia relied on extensive support from the Soviet Union. When the Soviet era ended, Mongolia began a complex transition to independence and integration into the global economy. Strategically located between China and Russia, nearby regional powers include Japan and Korea. Mongolia also shares a long history and many cultural traits with other countries in Central Asia. Rich in culture, in minerals, and in biodiversity, though long marginalized, Mongolia is an extremely important part of the world. Mongolia's capital, Ulaanbaatar, is the coldest capital city on the planet. With long winters and temperatures that can dip below -40 degrees centigrade, energy for heating is a priority. The Soviet-era solution was combined heat and power stations located in or near the city. Delivering heat to buildings without the ability to individually regulate the amount can lead to some unfortunate disparities.
Even when it's -30 degrees outside, it's always like summer in here.
Some apartments are so hot that the tenants have to open the windows in the winter to be comfortable. You can see this phenomenon in several areas of the city. But at the same time, other apartment dwellers are freezing. Thermal imaging from an infrared camera shows just how significant the losses can be from the transmission pipes and from the apartments. Mongolia's electrical generation has been connected to the need for heat since electricity was introduced. The legacy power plants are inefficient, polluting, and expensive to maintain, but are even more expensive to replace. For many years, the only possibility has been to keep them running. Increasingly, the emphasis is on efficiency and new alternatives. But this strategy implies that there will be sufficient investment to replace the outmoded systems. And in order to raise the investment, it's necessary to provide a good service and efficiently collect revenue from the customers. The hurdles were made even larger by the huge growth of the capital city, which has nearly doubled in size since 1990. Almost half of the people in Mongolia now live in the capital, and almost half of them live in informal ger towns, which have proliferated as new residents have moved into Ulaanbaatar, pitched their traditional Mongolian tents, and then built structures surrounding them. These sprawling areas don't have planned infrastructure, and Mongolians, used to surviving, have improvised. This type of development puts huge strains on technical efficiency and commercial viability. The system was leaking electricity and money.
The old system of operations, management of energy systems really collapsed, and basically it was really hard time in terms of financial sustainability.
In the 1990s, the energy sector was reeling, and without a major rethink, the system was in danger of literally falling apart. So the Mongolian government and the World Bank began an ambitious project to prototype a higher level of technical and commercial service.
This investment was the first investment in the distribution sector in 70 years. It was not only an investment in hardware, but it was the first major investment in change of commercial culture.
The loss reduction project began in 2001 and was completed at the end of 2009. Understanding the project's methods and accomplishments is vital to envisioning the sector's strategy in the future. With growing numbers of people living in the ger districts, it was an immediate requirement to get these communities legitimately connected to the grid. The first step in this process was to install advanced metering systems, providing a direct link between the company and the customer and measuring each consumer's use.
I live at 221 Altai Street. The use of new readers from the project has benefited us tremendously. We used to have black meters with low voltage hanging on the pole, and now we have the day-night meters.
Better equipment has allowed the company to technically deliver a more stable supply of electricity. This has helped improve its reputation and convince more people that they were actually being served. But to succeed commercially, the relationship between the energy supplier and the customers also had to be upgraded. The project addressed this by creating new service centers, treating the people as customers, and getting them to sign up and pay on a regular basis.
The main goal of establishing this service center is to communicate and reach the customers directly and provide flexible and affordable service. This center has 45,000 customers who live in Sukbatar and Ting Altai districts of Ulaanbaatar. 95% of our customers are households, 17,000 of them live in apartment blocks, 25,000 in ger district. 3,000 are organizations and companies.
After decades of subsidies and poor service, there is a growing realization that if they want good service, they'll have to pay for it.
The customers can check their billing dates, contracts and other information using their contracts and ID codes on the screen.
This provides a welcome level of transparency to the complex but necessary process of generating and delivering energy.
Gare district income collection was 85% before the project. Now we can collect 99.8%. So we consider this a very positive sign.
These innovations are making it possible to glimpse further improvements.
High-tech solutions for meter reading, customer relationship management system, database, connection or revenue collection information with the banks, and these business procedures have been really improved dramatically.
За эдгээр дээр би бол дэлхийн банкны төслөөр хийгдсэн энэ үйл ажиллагааны үр дүнд бол
This project has decreased our company's electricity loss by 12 points compared to the situation before the project.
өмнөх үетэй харьцуулахад 12 пунктээр бууруулж чадсан. Энэ бол маш том амжилт. Манай компани хэмжээгээр
This is a huge achievement.
нэг пунктээр бууруулахад 500 сая төгрөгийн санхүүгийн хэмнэлт.
Decreasing loss by 1 point saves 500 million tugrik. So decreasing our loss by 12 points a year means we have saved 6 billion tugriks a year.
6 billion tugriks is approximately $400 million, so the project's outcome is a major achievement. The capital city's energy issues are complex, but delivering energy to the whole of Mongolia requires even greater complexity. To deliver power nationally, Mongolia has had to adopt various strategies. Some parts of the country are connected to the central grid. Others either have their own grids or connect to international sources. Mongolia has also signed agreements with private mining interests who plan to build their own power plants. But the mines are located far from Mongolia's population, and it remains to be seen whether infrastructure can be built that will allow the Mongolian people to benefit from this energy as well. Bayan Hongor is one of the places connected to the central grid, and depending on electricity distributed hundreds of kilometers from the centralized plants. Considering the harsh conditions through much of the year, distributing energy in Mongolia is a daunting engineering challenge. Bayan Hongor is typical of many Mongolian provincial cities, comprised of a collection of Gare districts surrounding a central square and administrative buildings. Joining the central grid has been a more stable electric supply. But delivering electricity is only one of the challenges.
Ер нь бол эрчим хүчний төлбөрийг төлөх тал дээр бол асуудал үүсдэг.
There is a problem collecting income. The consumers would like to have cheap electricity, but in reality, electricity is the most important requirement for the people and is the product with the lowest cost. Some people don't understand that. If you compare electricity with mobile phone bills, people have no problem paying their phone bills when they are over 50,000 tugriks per month. But they are reluctant to pay when they have an electricity bill of 20 to 30,000 tugriks. It's very difficult for us.
Improved revenue streams leading to new investment are not only needed for new equipment. Older transformers also need to be safely recycled, because improperly handling broken equipment can expose the people to health risks if toxic substances like PCBs leak out and pollute the ground and water.
We connected in 2005. Before that, we had many interruptions. Sometimes, because of the interruptions, the heat-only boilers would stop in the winter. In the Gare district, they only had electricity for 2 or 3 hours a day. Now they have electricity 24 hours a day.
The heat-only boilers are working normally and the facility of clean water supply is working normally. All basic living conditions have improved.
For Hoft, near the Altai Mountains in Mongolia's far west, it is difficult and costly to transmit power from the central grid generators in Ulaanbaatar. The answer has been to connect to a Russian hydroelectric plant. But like all of Mongolia, Hoft could benefit from an upgrade of its aging infrastructure. Hoft has a relaxed pace. Like other Mongolian towns, it has some apartment blocks and some ger communities. Here, too, the energy project has helped to improve the system's reliability and increase efficiency.
The wooden poles were replaced by concrete poles, and all lines were changed with new ones for properly transmitting electricity. We have built 11 new substations. And rehabilitated 4 kilowatt transmission lines for 20 substations. In the framework of the project, over 5,000 households have been connected to the new network, and we have completed the Gear District loss reduction for Hoft City within a year.
Mr. Lakfa, an economist with the construction and farming company, lives with his family in a ger in Hoft. He has personal experience of the changes taking place in Hoft's energy sector.
Before, we never received 220 volts. We got maybe 120 to 150, with a maximum of 180 volts. There were a lot of difficulties with that. Fridges and other appliances were affected. So this was the first change. The second change was that if customers didn't pay their bill, the electricity would be cut for the whole community. And all other reliable customers would also be without electricity. Now anyone who doesn't pay will have their electricity cut at the meter individually, and those that do pay won't have to suffer blackouts as well.
A proud town in a beautiful setting. Hoft has the potential for trade with Russia and nearby Central Asian neighbors. It also has a few industries that need energy and would definitely like to have more. All current industry and any new ones now depend on Russian power coming over the border.